everybody, it's Paige. So today I decided to come up with a super fun challenge. You know how everyone's been doing like the full face of makeup with only highlighters or full face of makeup with only liquid lipsticks? Well, I decided to take inspiration from some of the most popular people who were doing those, and I decided to do a full face of makeup using just the Beauty Killer eyeshadow palette by Jeffree Star, with the one exception of using mascara because there's no cream product in this palette that I could possibly even try to substitute. So yeah, if you wanna see how I got this look using just this palette, then keep watching. Okay, so starting off, I am taking the shades Courtney and China White, and these are the two neutral shades in the palette, and they both have a matte finish, and I'm just mixing those two together just by dabbing my brush into them with no specific rhyme or reason, just trying to match my skin tone as well as I can. And I am using this sort of as a powder foundation, and I am just applying it with a flat top foundation brush from BH Cosmetics, but any brush you have will do. Now I am taking an eyeshadow brush from BH Cosmetics, and I am taking those same two shades, Courtney and China White, and just applying the product to where I want a little bit more coverage. And by using a smaller, denser brush, I will be able to build up the pigmentation better from these eyeshadows. Now I'm taking the shade China White only this time, and I'm using a fluffy eyeshadow brush from Wet n Wild, and I am just applying this to my under eye area and anywhere else on my face where I want it to be a little bit lighter to create more dimension, because in this tutorial slash challenge we are only using powder products, so it's really hard to give the effect of dimension when your face is just so flat with powder. Again, now I'm going with the China White shade on the tip of my nose, my forehead, and my chin, just to create balance this time with the light and dark shades on my face. And it looks a little bit ashy and powdery, but I fixed that later on in the video. Now we are taking a blush brush, and I am just going to use the edge of this brush and dip it into the shade Courtney, and I'm going to be using this as sort of a contour bronzy shade. And I'm not being super precise with this because it's not the ideal color. It's a little bit warm tone for a contour shade, so I'm just again creating dimension and bronzing up the face a little bit, giving it a little bit of warmth and liveliness. So now I'm just taking an eyeshadow brush and the shade Courtney and contouring my nose just a little bit because it was looking really flat and matte. So again, just giving it a little bit more dimension. And then I will be going in with my bronzer brush from Real Techniques, and I really recommend this brush. It's super expensive in my opinion, but it works so well, and I am just using the shade Courtney again to bronze up my forehead and jawline and neck area, just to try to make things match a little better. Now onto the eyes. I am taking this blending brush that I got in one of my Ipsy bags a couple months ago, and this is my favorite blending brush I've ever used. I will definitely find a link to this and leave it in the description box, along with all of the other brushes I'm using in this video and the mascara and palette. But anyways, I'm just taking the shade Courtney and blending that into the crease, just blending over and over, adding product, blending until I get the crease color that I desire. So now that I'm satisfied with my crease color, I'm taking that same brush, but this time I'm using the shade Star Power, which is the super hot pink shade in the palette, and I'm just blending this to my lower crease area just below the Courtney shade and a little bit onto the lid. And again, this is just repetitive blending and adding product. And now I'm taking a flat eyeshadow brush, and again with Star Power, I'm just packing that onto the inner and outer third of my eye because I really want to build the pigment up in those places. So I just wanted to quickly say that it's okay if your application isn't the best. Obviously this is not perfect, but with enough blending you can fix any application in my opinion. Blending is really your best friend when it comes to eyeshadow. So I felt like I went a little bit too high with the Star Power shade, so I added a little bit more of Courtney into my crease area, and now I lost a little bit of the pigmentation that I wanted, so I'm going back in with Star Power and just blending until I am satisfied. And now I am taking that flat eyeshadow brush and applying the shade Princess, which is a light lavender shade, and I wasn't quite getting the pigmentation that I was wanting, so I went in with my fingers because I was able to build up the pigmentation so much better, and it really gave a great pop to the eyelid. As you can see here, it's such a big difference from when you are using your finger to that eyeshadow brush. And to blend out that harsh line, I am going in with my blending brush, that first one that I used, and I'm not adding any additional product as I'm blending the edges out. I just want to create a gradient from the Star Power shade to the Princess shade. So after blending everything together, I am taking a dense eyeshadow brush. This one is from Bare Minerals, and I'm using the shade China White just to highlight the brow bone area and clean up around the edges where I went a little bit too crazy with my blending. And then taking a small pencil brush, I am using the shade Princess, which is the one on the center of our eyelid, and I am just applying that to the inner corner and the inner third of my lower lash line. Now using a slightly bigger pencil brush, I am going back in with the shade Star Power, and I'm just running that along the rest of my lower lash line just to kind of balance the eye out a little bit, make things not so top heavy, and just pulling the eye look all together. So I just did my other eye off camera just to make things go by a little bit faster and a little bit more simple. So now I'm going in with the shade Star Power on a blush brush and just applying that to my cheeks, and the shade is very pigmented and I do go a little bit overboard, but I try to fix that later on. Now I am applying the shade Princess to my cheekbones as my highlighter, and I did add a little bit of China White just to make it a little bit less purple, and I go back in with my blush brush just to blend out the harsh line between my highlight and blush. And I do go in with a little nose highlight and Cupid's bow highlight, just using my fingers and that same shade Princess, just to pull the whole look together. And then I apply the shade Confession to my lips, and I do have the slightest bit of lip balm left over on my lips from before I started doing this look, which made it go on a little bit easier, and that wasn't the exact shade I was going for, so I added a little bit of Courtney to tone it down, and then the slightest bit of Star Power just to make it a little bit more pinky. And now I'm just combing through my eyebrows. I normally don't do anything to them anyway, just because they're so dark and full as is. And now I'm taking my Lights Camera Flashes, I believe, mascara from Tarte, and just applying a bunch of coats of mascara. I do like this mascara, but it does poke my eyes sometimes. The brush is really hard and pointy. But anyways, that is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Check out the rest of my social media. They'll be linked in the description box along with all of the products that I used. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!